Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
The Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline. If you can believe it, the Super Bowl, the big game, is coming up this Sunday, and that means some of the best odds in sports betting are going to be yours for the taking. Get in the mix at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from Los Angeles, California, where everyone here and across the world is mourning the tragic deaths of 41-year-old Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and 7 other people who crashed in a helicopter in Calabasas, California. This is a tragic event, which I'm still having a hard time processing, and I'm still thinking about it. And it definitely just completely rocked my world, along with my wife and everybody worldwide, because of the amount of respect and love, and everybody revered Kobe Bryant. And man, he transcended the sport of basketball. He transcended sports, and he was larger than life. And he truly was a global icon that was loved all over the world. On the show today, I'm speaking with my producer, Shawn Marek, about the Royal Rumble, which just happened this past Sunday in Houston, Texas. We're going to be going back and forth, but it's really from a fan's perspective, that being Shawn. And so he'll talk about the event, and I'll chip in and add my opinions as well. I hope you enjoy the podcast. In the first 10 minutes, we will talk about Kobe Bryant, because it's easier to talk about the man and what I thought about him and how tragic this was. It was easier to talk about it with Shawn than me to sit here and fumble around with a microphone on my desk, because I don't know anybody that's functioning at 100% right now. And so with that being said, my thoughts go out to the Bryant family and anybody who had a family member or loved one on that helicopter. And my thoughts are with you. And take it away, Shawn. Let's play the show. Hiring is challenging, but there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart. Where growing businesses connect with qualified candidates. Cafe Altura's COO, Dylan Miskowitz, experienced how challenging hiring can be after unsuccessfully searching for a director of coffee for his organic coffee company. But then he switched to ZipRecruiter and saw an immediate difference. And you can as well by signing up for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Steve. How do they do it? Simply put, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Their technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. That means you get qualified candidates faster. In fact, after posting his job to ZipRecruiter, Dylan said he was amazed by how quickly great candidates were applying, and he was able to find his new director of coffee in just a few days. With results like that, it's no wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See why ZipRecruiter is effective for businesses of all sizes. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, try ZipRecruiter for free when you head over to ZipRecruiter.com/Steve. That's ZipRecruiter.com/STEVE. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Hey, I've got some exciting news. It is now official. Our show is now available on Spotify, and it's free. I want to make sure it's super easy for you and your friends to listen to the podcast, and joining Spotify allows me to be even more places for fans to find me. And I can build our community even further. Spotify is working to help listeners discover the shows they love, and now this podcast is one of them. If you're already listening to music on Spotify, now you can listen to the podcast in the same place. If you're not on Spotify yet, all you have to do is download the free app. That's right, no credit card necessary, and simply search for our show to start listening free.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I'm sitting here at the Broken Skull Studio here in Marina Del Rey, California. Got my producer, Shawn Marek, on the other end of the Skype here, talking about all the stuff that happened at the Royal Rumble just last night, or the day before yesterday as this podcast airs. Shawn, how are you?
I am doing quite well, Steve. How you doing?
God dang, man. I tell you, as we're recording this Monday morning, and Sunday was just an absolutely, man, I don't know, confounding, crazy, weird day.
Yes.
The announcement of the death of Kobe Bryant and his daughter, Gianna.
Yes.
And my wife and I, Chris and I, were at the sporting goods store, and we were going to get some weights for her. And then all of a sudden, I got 2 text messages, one from my brother and a friend of mine here in L.A. And so they said, both at the same time, "Hey, man, Kobe died?" And then I looked at the other one, "Kobe died? Is Kobe dead?" And like they're asking me. And my wife is about 10 feet in front of me, and I held up my phone just to show her the text because I couldn't believe it. It's like I got hit in the chest with a sledgehammer. Just took all the wind out of me, and I was confused. And I showed her the phone. I said, "Is Kobe dead?" And all of a sudden, man, we started getting on, started Googling to see what the hell happened. I guess this was around 11:30. We were just shopping and running errands. I guess it happened at 9:47 a.m. California time. And God dang, dude, just all yesterday was gray. And we were watching all the highlights and stuff like that. And even today, especially being here in Los Angeles, where he was truly a global icon. He transcended basketball. He transcended sports. He was bigger than life. And at 41 years of age, after, an 18-time NBA All-Star career that lasted 20 years and recruited, as a 17-year-old out of high school when he decided to go pro, just unbelievable. And his beautiful daughter, Gianna, and the other, 7 people in the helicopter? Dude, so we want to talk about this before we start talking about the Royal Rumble, but in my opinion, Kobe Bryant was one of those once-in-a-lifetime players. I noticed or knew of him for half of my life, and he was all of many people younger than me's life. And even if you're 75, he was a part of your life. Yeah. So he affected so many generations of people. And the thing I respected about Kobe the most was just the way he carried himself with the class and grace and him doing speeches, the way he articulated the game, his thought process, the way he played basketball, his basketball IQ was just off the charts. His talent was through the roof. And probably the defining thing really that a lot of people are talking about and is just his competitive nature and his willingness to put in the work. There's just this endless drive for perfection and for winning the game and also playing just so intelligently to avoid penalties and, man, lock down people on defense. He wasn't just an offensive whiz. It was just I'll stop rambling, but the totality is still, and we still get misty-eyed when we're watching Kobe stuff on the TV just this morning in L.A., Yeah. There has been literally no talk about everything else that's going on in the world right now. That's how much he meant to everybody worldwide and really specifically, Los Angeles.
Yeah, I could just imagine the impact, what it's like over there. I mean, I'm not really a big basketball guy, but obviously just as a cultural icon, he was up there with all the greatest. And man, it was rough because I was just about to leave the house yesterday to go to something, and my wife was like, "Did you hear that Kobe died?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Well, TMZ's saying this, but I'm going to wait to, hear more." And then I went out and I kept on getting more confirmations, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Kind of hard to go through the day just knowing that like something so sudden occurred like that, and it took people's lives, including Kobe and his daughter. It's a real tragedy.
To have such a successful basketball career for over 20 years, then segue into all the media stuff and winning the Oscar.
He won an Oscar last year.
Yes. But his life was basically, although he lived 41 years, his life was just getting started. Mm-hmm. To go at 41 years of age, everything that he had accomplished and what he would have accomplished, it's really hard to comprehend.
Yeah. No, and the WWE actually did pay tribute to him yesterday on the show, as did the Grammys were last night. Because I didn't realize the Grammys were last night, and then I was like watching the Royal Rumble, and I knew obviously about Kobe by that point, and I was like, oh my God, the Grammys are tonight. It's like it's a lot going on, and obviously they paid tribute to him as well. Man, yeah, R.I.P. man, and to his daughter and stuff too. R.I.P.
It was one of those things where I just, that was one of those things where you will always remember where you were when you heard that news. And I'll never forget just being there in the sporting goods store and holding up my phone for my wife. It was like, because she's born and raised in L.A. So, I mean, that's how much Kobe meant to the city. But again, he transcended the sport and was a true global icon. And our thoughts are with everybody who lost their lives on that helicopter and all of the lives affected. And Kobe, he was a big part of my life. He was half of my life, and he transcended sports. Hell, I'm getting misty-eyed. Let's move on and let's talk about some WWE action. I enjoyed the Royal Rumble, the entire pay-per-view, and I love talking about these things. But I'm going to let you kind of we're going to go through this, and I'm going to chip in because I wanted to do this podcast, and I have my opinions, and I'm going to voice those opinions. But I also like to hear what the fans, and I know you're smart to the business. Almost everybody's smart to the business, and we've been working together, so you got to also have an inside track. And I want your unbiased opinion, so I can just kind of feed and go off of some of what you saw, and I might question you on why you think these things, rather than me being taken out of context and say, "Hey, Stone Cold did this," or "He said that." I want to get inside the mind of a wrestling fan, and you've been a long-time wrestling fan. So
let me get raked over to coals for it.
No, but it's your opinion as a fan,
right? No, I absolutely, no,
you know what I'm saying?
I got, and I since I knew we were doing this, I took some stream of consciousness notes, just kind of stuff that was affecting me watching the show. And as you said, I concur with you. The show is, I think the show is great. I really was buzzing afterward because of, Drew won the Rumble. You had Edge returning. People were coming back. You just had some real notable moments on the show that just was like, okay, this is good. And I want to see that. I want to be excited. I don't want to be bored. I want to see things going crazy. And the Rumble obviously is one of the most unpredictable matches there is. Combining that just as a whole with the rest of the pay-per-view, I think was definitely worked for me. So before we get started, what are you drinking? You drinking anything special?
No, man, I'm drinking a Zero Coke. 7.5 fluid ounces. I've already run out. I'm going to go reload before we actually get kicked into this.
I am drinking a White Claw. Well, it's funny because you before you talked about how Hulk Hogan gave you Trulies. I was like, you guys are missing out, because White Claw is where it's at. And I know it's not a commercial for White Claw, but 70 calories, Steve. That is 30 less calories than I believe in a Truly. And you get some flavors like a watermelon, like I'm drinking right now. So
before you get all looped up, let's talk about the Falls Count Anywhere match with Roman Reigns defeating Ken Corbin at about the 21-minute mark.
So they started off this match, and usually when these matches get started, I'm always like, okay, can we get out of the ring already? Because the draw of it is it's Falls Count Anywhere. So let's go everywhere around this arena. And they eventually got there, but at first, I was kind of wondering when we were going to head out there. I kind of wondering this is going to be the end. I mean, I guess I'm kind of hoping this is going to be the end of this feud. I don't know if that's the case.
Why are you hoping it's the end of the feud? You've had enough. You've seen too much. It's time to move on for both guys.
Well, I wonder where else you're going to go from here, because it was definitive win on a major pay-per-view in a gimmick match. So either you continue the feud by doing different matches between the factions, because you have Roman and the Usos, and you have Corbin and Ziggler and Rude. So maybe that could be a match that we got coming up. But, I mean, maybe you drag it out to WrestleMania. I feel like Roman's got bigger plans, going to have bigger plans coming up to that show. So I kind of feel like if you're going to end the feud, you would have done it here.
I just don't know where else you would go with this feud. I think it's kind of been going on for a while, if I'm not mistaken. And I just like to know where they're going with Roman Reigns coming out of this match. Because, again, I think this is probably the end.
Yeah.
Why would you go any further? So where would you take Roman Reigns, and where would you take King Corbin?
Where he moves forward, I mean, maybe you get him into, you kind of find a way to transition this on SmackDown off of Roman and head him over into maybe Elias or maybe Strowman. I know Strowman's in the middle of this program for the Intercontinental title, but I feel like maybe those will start crossing over at some point. Roman, I feel like, might go to the Fiend. I feel like we're kind of nearing the end of this Daniel Bryan Fiend thing. So I think if we're going to get the title off of the Fiend, I feel like Roman's going to be the guy to do it.
Yeah, but do you want to take the title off of the Fiend right now? And we're going to jump down to get to that match. But I think the Fiend needs to hang on to that title. Are you talking about that's a WrestleMania match?
Yeah, I can see that being a WrestleMania match because Roman and Bray have a history.
Okay, it could be, and they could spin off something out of that, but certainly not for the next two. What? It's
Well, we're 2 months out.
2 months out. Yeah,
they were able to expand the Bryan Fiend feud for about 2 months, and they did the same thing with the Roman and Corbin. So I think that you could definitely have a lengthy Fiend Roman program leading into WrestleMania. I have to disagree with you and feel that I think it's time to get the belt off the Fiend. I love the Fiend. He's just such a great attraction, and the character is just so unique. But it's something where he is a lot like the Undertaker to me, where it's great that the Undertaker will wrestle for a title, or Kane will wrestle for a title, or whatever, or the Fiend in this case. But they could just be over by just being them and just being that force, that character.
No, I agree with that thought 100% because, that's classic Jake the Snake Roberts. He didn't need a belt. He was Jake the Snake Roberts. And so, I think the character work and all the television production work with the skits that they do with the Fiend is enough for the Fiend to stay the Fiend. And he could always be the consummate spoiler or just a guy who you never know how or what he's going to do based on how they're booking him. But does he need a world title? No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I understand why they put the title on him at first because the character was so hot to start. Bray often loses, even though he would be the guy to talk all sorts of shit and just try to get into the guy's head, but he would always lose. But now it's like, okay, well, he's got this really hot character. Let's pull the trigger on it. But you did it. You saw how it is. Maybe it's time to move on. It's not to say he can't win the title down the line if he's still going to be the Fiend, but maybe put it into something different.
And I don't understand why they booked him like they did back in the day when he started off house fire, cutting all the promos, and then I thought that the character was a little bit long-winded, and he just stalemated it, and he kept losing match after match. I'm like, God dang, this guy's silver-tongued devil. Give him, let him do promos that are meaningful. Don't overexpose him. Just give the fans enough so that they want more. But they just kept going more and more and more. So now here we are on a different incarnation, and the kid's hot. He doesn't need the belt, but just keep him edgy. Keep people guessing what he's going to do next, and so we'll see where they go from now. But Women's Royal Rumble, Charlotte wins at about the 54-minute mark and change. What did you think about the Rumble?
I felt that Charlotte winning was kind of a foregone conclusion. There was some doubt towards the end with regards to Shayna and her involvement. It was one of those things where I feel like, Charlotte is such a tried and true talent in this current women's division. But nonetheless, though, there were some great performances in that Rumble. I think Bianca Belair was just out of control, and I try to watch NXT as much as I can, and I watched a lot of it when she was on her come up. And do you know a lot about her? Have you seen a lot of her work?
Oh no, I just seen some of her stuff down there in NXT, not a lot of it. I just think she has tremendous potential. She's a great athlete. She has a presence about her, a great gimmick. I mean, just a great look, and I think she has a very, very bright future ahead of her. I like her a lot. Yeah,
me too. She lasted really long, but, she got in there with Alexa because her and Alexa were number 1 and 2. Bianca, she's so strong. Could be so dominant at times, and yet she's in there with Alexa Bliss. And, Alexa, obviously, she's an experienced veteran compared to Bianca. But I was like, I was sitting there, telling my wife, I was like, at any point, Bianca could just throw Alexa into like the fifth row. People that were coming in, I was just like, okay, Bianca could throw her. She could do that. It's the perception of watching some of these wrestlers just like, okay, this is, she's the strong one. Alexa's the clever one.
5 feet of bliss. To your point, I would say, yes, Bianca Belair is very strong and very athletic, and Alexa Bliss is the veteran. And I was thinking, okay, if you want to play this thing for a shoot, okay, we can shoot book this thing, and have Bianca just toss Alexa out. But we're talking, okay, Steve, you're watching through a different lens.
Yes.
Just be entertained by this. And so I enjoyed all the work that they did and the chemistry within. Help me out here. How was Bianca ultimately eliminated? Because that was one of the standouts. Who threw her out?
Charlotte did. They were doing something on Bianca was like on the turnbuckle or something. Yep. And Charlotte knocked her out.
So going out or getting taken out by the person that wins it. But I thought she shined. I love what she did.
100%.
While she was in the Rumble, I thought she maximized her time allotted.
Yeah,
and she's going to be a big star.
I have a question for you. With regards to like the amount of wrestlers at any given moment in a Rumble, like in the ring, what do you think is a comfortable number for that? In a sense that it doesn't feel too crowded or it doesn't feel too sparse. Because I know from watching it, I'll be like, okay, there's a lot of people in there right now. Could somebody get eliminated? I want to see, things move along. Or if there's not enough people in there, I'm like, why is there nobody in there? The Women's Rumble had a lot of wrestlers in there at once until they maybe like Charlotte showed up. On the inverse, Brock just chucked the guy out one right after another.
And he was kind of the only guy in there other than one other guy that he would quickly eliminate. But to answer your first question, I just think as long as you have not too many bodies to overwhelm the 20 by 20 confined squared circle that you're working within, guys will go or girls will go off in different corners. And there was a couple of people who would use the ropes, for high spots. Can't really put a number on it. Just depends on how big the people are. But a crowded ring is a crowded ring by any estimation, whether you're just a fan or someone like me who's been there, done that, and successfully won 3 of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which, by the way, the show starts off with your boy getting us all fired up for this show.
Man, we filmed that over here at the Broken Skull Studio. And,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We filmed that.
Hey, you guys do everything there now.
Oh yeah, man. It was really an interesting piece of business, and thought it was a cool opportunity. And I love the Royal Rumble. It's done wonderful things for my career, so I thought it'd be cool. Yeah, hey man, let's do this, open this thing up, and I think it kind of set the tone, and I think everybody enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. So anyway, the rings when they get too crowded, they get too crowded. As long as you can function, and you don't go through, there's always going to be this, like one person or a bunch of people are leveraged in a corner. And they're trying to pick up that one person or holding them. It seems like forever, but they just can't finish it off. You've just got to watch the stalemates like that, and just people have to be active, engaged, and either moving and not being too static. And just staying active is the key. To answer your question, or bottom line is saying, just too many is too many. And when you're watching and you as a fan say, hey man, there's a lot of people in there, it's kind of crowded. That's the way we feel too. It's a little crowded in here. It's tough to work. Yeah. Who else stood out there in the Rumble to you? Because I want to get to your Charlotte Shayna Baszler thing, by the time we get to the finish.
Yeah. Well, I want to say there's a few things that stood out. There were some surprises, and that's of course what the Rumble really is all about. I mean, you had a lot of NXT surprises. Mercedes Martinez, who was another wrestler who I kind of hold her in the same regard as Bianca, where I'm just like, I know she's a badass and she's just going to lay waste to everybody. She didn't get a chance to do a whole lot, but I was glad to see her. Naomi's back. Man, I mean, she came back. She had a hell of a pop. She basically did the Kofi spot this year like she's done before, but it's going to be great to see her back in the mix now.
I just wonder, because I got clotheslined over the top rope by Fatu many years ago in San Diego and went out way too early. Uh-huh. And boy, oh my God, you're just feeling like shit when that happened. So I was just thinking what the pressure was on her when she jumped from, basically the ring to that wall, the barricade, and stuck the landing. That could have went south.
That was actually one of these stressful moments where I'm watching her and her feet, like had to be like 5 inches off the ground, like the heel. And I was like, she's not going to make it. She's not going to make it. She's not going to make it. And she probably was under control the whole time, but I, as a viewer, was like, this is not going to work. And she did it.
But yeah, it was awesome. But just when you watch her, leap from her, push from that stairs to the wall and stick that landing, I mean, you have to make that.
Yeah.
You cannot miss. And she executed. And of course, announcer's desk to the tray thing that she walked and got back in the ring, and then ended up getting eliminated. But it was an impressive performance.
I want to ask, because you mentioned about how you got eliminated by accident in your very first Rumble. What happens in that situation where you get eliminated, you weren't supposed to, and now you got to go back? The match, it's going to finish somehow, but you're not going to be a part of it. So now you have to go to the back. What happens?
Well, I mean, you got to move on, but it's stressful and it sucks. And you walk back because you've disappointed the company because, they put you in a spot. You failed to execute what they wanted you to do. And so in that moment and in that night, I was a failure, and, we had to proceed accordingly. Now what happens in the ring is, as I'm walking, right when I'm crossing that turnbuckle, I kind of just give Shawn a subtle, I'm slitting my throat. And he sees I am making eye contact with him, and someone's beating him up at the time, letting him know that I'm gone. And so he has this look on his face, and the cameras don't catch it, but I catch it because I'm looking directly at him. And he goes, dude, really? In a split second. And so that's when those guys, being the professionals that they are, make the necessary adjustments to know who's next, how it's going to go down. And then, you just kind of get back on track and call it on the fly. And that's what being a professional is all about. But as far as I go, I didn't really get any flack. Everybody knows that, accidents happen. And I certainly was hungry to do as good as I could. But, you let the company down. No mistakes, no ands, ifs, or no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I screwed up. So you just feel like shit. And then you go on about your career.
And you did pretty well.
Yeah, it turned out okay. Who else stood out?
I was happy to see Beth Phoenix in there. I was surprised she went as long as she did. And considering her injury in that match, because at one point I see some blood on Charlotte. And I was like, oh, maybe Charlotte got hit in the nose or something. But then you see the back of Beth's head, and I was like, what the hell happened? All of a sudden, she's got this really graphic wound. I mean, maybe her hair is probably sweaty, because she's working. So maybe the cut isn't as bad as it would actually seem, and it didn't seem to affect her because she was right up there until the end. But there were some hard shots in that Rumble. People were really going all out, as you would imagine, in a moment like this, especially considering how some people don't really are in there just for a short while, and they have to get their stuff in. But
you mentioned Beth Phoenix's blood on Charlotte's face when Charlotte busted open. When Charlotte had that hard camera was right there on Charlotte and had a little bit of blood smear on her face. What a visual, because she was so animated and just Charlotte is just a complete stud. Yeah. She's just a supreme athlete. She's a hell of a hand. She's second generation. She's just amazing. And she just shows and just pure dominance. And she's so athletic. Yeah. She has a very strong presence about her. She just puts off this energy that I just totally love it. And her with that blood on her face, I dug it. Yeah.
My wife always says, when she's doing a match or something and she gets done. And my wife is always like, I love Charlotte because she comes to the ring looking like $1 million. She's got her hair done, makeup and everything. And when she gets done, she looks like she's been through a war. Her makeup and her hair, she's just, she looks like she's fought for her life. And it just really, I think, kind of is like her dad, because her dad will come to the ring, Rick would come to the ring, looking like $1 million with his hair and the robe, and then he get done. Like, what was it, the Great American Bash '89? One half of his face all bloody because Terry busted him open, and then Muda ran in and he blew green mist in his hair. So he got half red, half green, just looking like you've been through hell and back.
That's
awesome.
One of the things I really love about Charlotte is she kind of embodies the grit of, what wrestling is all about. Yes, she's beautiful. She's talented, but just her grit and determination. It doesn't look like just a show. It doesn't look like just moves. It looks like she's out there wrestling for a victory. And that's what I like about her. It's a friggin' fight, and that's what it's supposed to be. And that's what she embodies.
So she, Shayna, last two in the Rumble. Shayna comes in like a house of fire.
Shayna's got a great look to her.
Shayna's awesome.
She has these eyes and just that look, and you know her skill set, and there's just this menacing presence. And she's really, really good. Go ahead. I just wanted to say something.
No. I mean, I concur, and I mean, having watched her in NXT from pretty much the beginning, and seeing her, make her way into, further into the spotlight, there's potential there for her already, to just fit right in with the rest of the main roster, and just, especially with Charlotte. I feel like that's something that those final few minutes really gave us a good preview into, the great potential that they're going to have, in the future, as hopefully into matches, maybe at WrestleMania, or maybe, obviously down the line. But Charlotte wins. It's fine because Charlotte's the best. She is the top tier. And I thought she cut a pretty good promo afterward too. I thought it was, it was short, but there's some fire behind it, considering she's just been through the fight. I mean, she was in there for a long time too. So, yeah, I thought it ended up pretty well.
But going back to Shayna, people said, "Hey, man, by Shayna getting eliminated just kind of in short order, the way she did, you had a chance to build her." I think Shayna's already built. And you can make.
Also, she was number 30. It doesn't. She's not going to be in there for that long.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. She's strong. She's booked strong. She is strong. She's pretty over. So why have her go in there and toil for X amount of time just to have her, ultimately get dumped out over the top? So, with her, less is more. Okay, yeah, you could have done all kinds of things with her in the middle beginning of that match, but Charlotte was in there early on. Charlotte was first. So what are you going to do?
15 spots, I think.
Yeah, she gets eliminated by Charlotte, who wins it. And then she's already over, and she's already strong going into it. So the Rumble is over, gives her something to talk about or whatever, but you can build her on the backside. Yeah, you got to make her in a Royal Rumble match. You make her on the back, or you keep making her on the backside of the match. So I think that they did a smart thing with her, because she's ultimately going to get dumped out. Have Charlotte eliminate her, and then continue to build her on the backside. It wasn't an opportunity squandered. Or if someone wanted her to win the whole thing, you could very well make a case that Shayna Baszler could have won the whole thing.
So Women's Rumble capped off with Charlotte winning. I dug it. And we'll see who she picks to move on, which kind of leads into the next match. Bayley, who is the WWE SmackDown Women's Champion, taking on Lacey Evans. This match, unfortunately, was in a bad spot because the Women's Rumble just finished. And I know that's how they're doing it, because you can't have Rumble after Rumble. You have to, space it out. I feel like the energy in this crowd wasn't where it needed to be for this match to really kick into a higher gear. Bayley as a heel, she's getting into it, and I like seeing her as a heel. I like seeing this different, how she's different. I like what she's doing with Sasha and stuff, but I feel like it didn't really get to where it needed to go. Maybe because it was just a placement on the card. I also feel like Lacey, she hasn't gotten her spot. Like, she would have had the title by now, or had a run with it at least. A short run or just something. I feel like that would have come, and I thought it was going to come here. I really did. I thought that we were going to get that here. She'll be the champ, and maybe Charlotte could take her on, and that's a pretty fresh program going into WrestleMania. The ending was kind of quick. I mean, granted, it was a heel kind of ending, so I was cool. I'm fine with that. But there's a lot of also like angle going on with it between Lacey and her daughter, the daughter being involved and stuff. I mean, I'm assuming we're going to get another match between these two, maybe on the next show, or definitely on a SmackDown main event, where I think maybe that might be where they pull the trigger. But I was surprised they didn't do it here. I
like Bayley as a heel. I like Bayley as a babyface. I think Lacey Evans as a babyface isn't quite as over as they need her to be for the crowd to get as involved in these two women's matches. To your point, following the Rumble, pretty tough. They've seen everything but the kitchen sink in that match, and you're trying to follow it. I like this match a lot more than most people like this match. And I enjoyed the finish. I enjoyed seeing Bayley go over. I think Lacey has one of the brightest futures of any of the women in all the WWE. So she's
she's
not
another
there yet.
badass.
Oh yeah, she's a badass, and she has a mean streak, and her trying to transition that gimmick, and baby, because you watch every single episode of Raw. I don't. I DVR it, and so I wasn't even aware that she was working baby.
See, with the transition from her to being a baby, just kind of came out of nowhere. The thing about Lacey is that she's had such a heel character,
yes,
going so strongly that it didn't feel like the anticipation. I feel like they could have maybe invested more into that. I mean, they're already there, so they already have what they want. She's a face, so they just need to build her up as doing more face things, just being a face.
Yeah. So the position of the match maybe could have been better, but also, to the point I'm making is Lacey Evans, her position or her role, or just all of a sudden now she's a baby because of this, and when she was such a strong heel. And I think if they're going to give her a full green light and she's fully identified as a baby face, people will rally behind her. She can be a full blown baby, but right now I thought she was kind of in no woman's land, if you will, just within with respect to her character and who and what people think of her. So I think she's a talent, and she's a diamond in the rough, and she's going to end up being a diamond. But I enjoyed this match more than most people did, and I'll leave it at that. Talk to me about this Universal title strap match.
Why did it have to be a strap match? What do you first of all? Steve Austin? What do you think of strap matches?
Man, I've been in a couple, and I was only supposed to be in, I think one, but the lights went down, so we had to redo it the next night, and we beat the hell out of each other. And working with Savio Vega way back in the day, it was a blast because we had a real good time working with each other. That belt hurts. They can get the shit beat out of you in those things.
And they really put that over too in this match.
Yeah,
but it surprised me, because automatically when I hear a strap match, I'm like, okay, guy touches four corners and basically doing the same finish that you guys did all those years ago. You touch the corner, Savio touches the corner, and you get to that last quarter and whatever. But this one just ended up being the strap is means to hit people, and the strap served its purpose, but I feel like it didn't have to be. I thought if you were going to do another gimmick match, like maybe a cage match.
Okay, so you're the fan. What did it not do for you?
It just felt like another match. It was lacking something. It was lacking because the strap match was basically announced on Friday. We're signing the contract, and now it's a strap match. And now the Fiend's going to hit Brian with the strap, and then we're going on the go-home show, and now we're going to have the strap. But if that was something that was established earlier on, like Bray used the strap as a means to an end, or like a chain or whatever it was, like a weapon of sorts. But they worked hard. And, a lot of the story with the Fiend is just that, he takes a licking and just keeps on ticking, and no matter what you throw at him. Although I did enjoy the part where they were on the table, Brian kicked him in the groin, and it just kind of made me think of, have you ever seen the movie The Monster Squad?
No.
It's about all these monsters, and one of them is the Wolfman. It's about these kids fighting monsters in their hometown, and one of the kids kicks the Wolfman in the groin, and he's like, "The Wolfman has nards." And it kind of made me think of that with Bray the Fiend getting kicked, because it's like, he's still a guy. He can defeat him that way. Kind of like how people defeat Brock, like Seth Rollins last year beating up, Brock. Or even in this Rumble, I guess. I don't know. There's something that was missing from it. And also they took away the lights. At first I was like, great, no red lights. I'll be able to see the match. But now that you've taken away the lights, the Fiend just feels like another guy in the ring. Maybe there was an aura that was missing from it. Something, between the stipulation and the presentation. I feel like it just didn't do it for me. And I'm wondering if this is going to be it. I mean, maybe we do a final match on SmackDown, maybe a Falls Count Anywhere, or just something like another stipulation match, and put that to bed so we can move the Fiend on to whoever, probably Roman.
So what do you think about, all of the skits or the Firefly Funhouse or
I like them.
Those are very entertaining.
Yeah, they're silly, but they serve the purpose, and they found a way to take those things, take those skits from being just these absurd skits with Bray Wyatt as a Mr. Rogers kind of character. And then, all of a sudden, he introduces this alternate personality that's a monster. I think it's great that they still do them and they just keep, having creative moments with them.
So, but when the bell rings, are you liking what Bray Wyatt's doing as far as the work in the ring? I mean, because he's this character.
Yes, I do. But here, I've been spending some time playing WWE 2K20. And a big part of that is that you get to play as Bray Wyatt, as the Fiend, as a separate character from Bray Wyatt. And a lot of those matches you wrestle are in this graveyard. You spend a lot of time playing that character. And I found myself getting bored with it because it didn't feel that interesting. The presentation looks great. The character looks great. But as a wrestler, it just feels like I'm playing as Bray Wyatt. The only thing that's really different is that instead, in addition to doing a Sister Abigail, he does a mandible claw. So it just feels like, something where if I wanted to have that variation, I could just give somebody else the mandible claw in my game because you can edit it that way. And I think that I like it, but I don't get as excited for it unless if it's like a big garbagey brawl, weapons and stuff. Like I feel like you have to have a real intense brawl or something that doesn't just put the Fiend as just like another wrestler.
Man, I just think it's an interesting dynamic. Guys working under hoods. Guys been working under hoods masks for long times, but working under that mask or that hood with that expression on it, that it's such an eye opener. It's like that's the expression that you're looking at the entire match.
Yeah.
And so it's different than watching anything else I've ever watched just because of the picture that mask portrays. Go ahead.
It's different, but is it good?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's been many guys who've worked under hoods before, and you can feel, that emotion. Mm-hmm. With this one, I can't really feel what that character's going through. Mm-hmm. And he's working heel, but still.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only thing that you know about him is that he is a violent individual, a disturbed being with a horrifying mask, and he is there to inflict psychological and physical torture onto his opponent.
I thought the guys worked their ass off. Might have been a little bit long, maybe a couple minutes shorter, but I mean, Daniel Bryan's a world-class worker. Yes. Bray Wyatt is an outstanding worker, and working under a gimmick. I love the character. I love the vignettes and all the stuff that he does. So, a Caribbean strap match, especially for a character like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, is a different walk in the park. I don't know that necessarily worked for them due to the nature of his character. Daniel Bryan being the worker and, having, just trunks and boots on. You can see and feel everything, the marks on his back. Gritty match, tough match, but maybe a little bit long. Raw Women's title match. Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch, the man, versus Asuka.
One of the notes I have here was it was not a remarkable match, but it was hard hitting. There were some real devastating spots, like that front suplex off the apron that Asuka took. That was nuts. The rock bottom, basically, off the ropes. I thought that was good. And again, that's just another match where I feel like the buzz for it wasn't quite there until the end. Becky is so over, and I think she curries a lot of favor with the audience, even if the match takes a while to get going. So eventually, people are still going to be behind her as she goes along. They've done quite a bit in building this match up, building Asuka up as her opponent, even going back to the previous pay-per-view, the TLC match. I feel like that was a pretty final match for them too. I was thinking of this match as like an old school WWF match where you have like Becky is like your big face, so your Hogan or your Savage. She is wrestling, for a lack of an exact term, but a foreign menace, as they would say. Your Sheiks, your Volkovs. It was a very like broad presentation in that regards, especially of the finish with Becky thwarting the Mist. Because obviously the Mist is a big part of Asuka's arsenal, and it's factored into this program as they've led up to it. So her finding a way to avoid that and have it factor into the finish, I thought was good.
First of all, I thought the match not entirely seamless in its beginning, maybe choppy. The strong suit was that it built to the finish, and when the finish happened, it was one of I thought one of the biggest reactions finish wise with respect to the entire show.
It's a very dynamic finish.
Very dynamic finish, and people pop for it. So it got the elicited response. I mean, you want people to just come out of their seats, and they did. So although it got started a little choppy for me, once they settled into it and got to that last 5 minutes, then it was building, and all the chips were on the line. Well, the belt was on the line, and when Becky went over, the crowd came to the roof. So it accomplished everything it needed to accomplish. What if they'd have done this, and trying to avoid the mist, because they had plenty of time here. They went, about 16 and a half minutes. What if, they had employed the mist at, say, the 5 minute mark, or, but to just partially catch Becky with that mist and to blind one eye, or just to cause some effect and have Becky work from underneath through that, then to get the win. That's kind of how
they would do it with Hogan. Because if Hogan's wrestling Killer Khan would hit him through the mist. And then he would make his comeback regardless of the stuff on his face. Yeah,
but I mean, dude, what a visual! Because Becky's already been misted, how many times, leading up to this. So why, if the mist has been effective in the past, and all these wonderful promos cut by Becky talking about where she needs, how she needs to do this and where she's been and all that stuff, to have her partially misted, but to work from underneath. To have to fight through it to beat Asuka would have been a great story and have been a great visual and had been overcoming. Why was not Asuka smart enough to employ the mist at an early stage of the match?
Because if she knows that's what is a weakness of Becky's, considering that she's used it before on her.
I just thought that's a wonder. What if? Why not?
Why not start with the big guns?
Oh, man, even right off the bat, maybe out of damn near out of a lockup, to blast with that mist and have her to fight through it. I'm booking. But so coming out of this, I love Asuka's work. Becky's the champ. I love her work as well. But she's the champ. She's going to continue down the path that she's going. Asuka was on fire a while back. They just let her completely fade out. Then they cranked her back up. She's back up. What do you do with Asuka? Because they cannot let her die. They cannot kill her off. She's too damn good. Now that we know who's in the Super Bowl, we can take this week to get ready for the biggest game of the year coming this Sunday. We've got the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a heck of a game. Man, San Fran back playing winning football. Kansas City Chiefs. I would love to see Andy Reid win a Super Bowl. Both teams, a lot of weapons. San Francisco, defensively, in my opinion, has the definite edge. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be an outstanding game. Visit our good friends and exclusive partners of Podcast One, Bet Online, to take advantage of the best bonuses in the business for this momentous occasion. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for a 50% sign-up bonus. Again, that's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partners of Podcast One Sportsnet. The big game is coming up, and Podcast One wants to be sure you're ready for the action. For all the NFL and sports coverage, you need to make sure to check out the Dan Patrick Show, the Rich Eisen Show, Ross Tucker's Football Podcast, and the rest of Podcast One Sportsnet. We've got the biggest guests, the best commentary, and everything in between. Be sure to subscribe to these shows and more on Podcast One, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you listen to podcasts, so you can get new episodes every week.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
All right, Men's Royal Rumble.
First of all, it was different this year because Brock's number one. Brock eliminated, 13 guys? I think he tied the record. Maybe he broke it. I don't know. But I think it wore out its welcome a little bit, that whole thing with Brock. I'm glad it ended when it did once we got to Drew eliminating him. But it does make sense in a way because Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. So if you throw, a guy in there like Bobby Roode or Elias, who hasn't been presented as an equal to Brock, at least on TV, it would make sense that he would easily dispatch them. However, I will say I liked that when the New Day came out. So Kofi and Big E came out and Ray was there too. and they showed a lot of fire in that segment, with the beat down and stuff and trying to overcome him. And I think that was good. I liked that a lot. And I'm glad that was a part of that, because it really, it definitely helped, definitely keeps, Kofi's over, but it definitely helps keep people aware. And I think, I'm glad to see Big E get a spot in there too, because Big E's doing his big ending to Brock is impressive as hell. However, I feel like there was missed opportunities to build upon certain guys that normally don't interact with Brock. So like when Cesaro came out, I popped hard because Cesaro is awesome. Cesaro is strong as hell. Cesaro is extremely talented, extremely coordinated, one of the best guys in the company right now. And I wanted to see more go on between them two. I really did. And he was only in it for maybe like 30 seconds, but I really wanted to see him to mix it up and maybe expand upon that. And they had some of it going with Braun came out and Keith Lee. Just there's that moment where Keith Lee came out and Brock's watching him come down, and you could just see him mouth. He's like, "Oh, big boy." Just a little thing like that kind of helps put Keith over just a little bit more on the main roster, in the main roster's eyes. Gets Brock off his feet. That's something I would have liked to see with Cesaro. Maybe I was actually really anticipating it being a lot shorter, to be honest. Once like somebody came out number 2 or 3, and I kept on saying to my wife, I was like, all right, Cena's coming out, Reigns is coming out, this is gonna be it. But they dragged it on.
Possibly it ran on too long. I enjoyed it because as soon as Drew McIntyre comes out, there's the physical activity. Boom, Claymore, over the top, spectacular bump, Brock style.
Also afterwards, Brock's reaction to it, Drew keeping an eye on him. Because Brock hung around so long after that elimination, I was thinking it was like he's going to go in and toss Drew out, and that's going to be the end of the night for Drew.
I thought he was going to go back in there and beat him down just so Drew McIntyre would have to overcome even more odds, because the way he was built coming into this thing off that last Monday Night Raw, I was like, okay, I think most everybody thought, okay, Drew McIntyre's going to win this thing. Now, we'll get to that in a minute, but I think if it beat him down, that would have been interesting. Played it for what it was. Brock hung around. I kept wondering, is there going to be another payoff here, or what's up? But,
I thought that Brock, because the way they had it, where Brock left he didn't go through the main entrance. He went to the side, and I was like, I'm watching the match, and I'm like, is Brock still there? Like, is he just sitting there watching, or did he leave? And they never went back to that part, so I couldn't tell. But I thought that. Part of it, as we went through it, I was like, okay, Brock's going to come back, but maybe obviously he wasn't there. I guess that was some point. But
I thought the Braun, Keith Lee, Brock stuff, it was what it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, visually it was spectacular. I thought maybe it could have done a little bit more. That would have been.
But I definitely want to see more with him and Keith, and maybe we will at some point.
Yeah, maybe so. What were your impressions of Keith?
Oh, Keith's great. Keith is just big. He glides in the ring. He's charismatic. Once they, I think, get him on the mic more, once you get more of his personality and get to know more about him, he's going to be a huge star. I was glad to see him get followed up on, because his performance at the Survivor Series was really impressive. So the fact that they were able to sneak him into the Rumble and have him in this high profile spot with Brock was speaks volumes of what they might have in store for him.
What else you got in your notes over there?
Let's see. MVP came back. He was in a sweet Black Panther outfit too. I was glad to see that. I was disappointed that he wasn't around a ton. I wonder if he's going to be sticking around.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I like him, and I hope he's going to stick. He's had some time away, and that's what's fun. That's what's exciting, is that a guy like him and John Morrison, like, they've been away for so long. Now they're back, and then they've had all this worldly experience, outside of the WWE. So what's coming next? I don't know. Maybe I don't know the exact deal with him if it's just a one shot, but I hope he sticks around. And I also liked that some of the angles fell into place. The stuff with the Seth and the AOP and Owens and Joe. I felt that all kind of, within context of the Rumble, worked well. Just as far as furthering their program and making that a big deal. I didn't expect either any of those guys to win, even though I love Joe, love Kevin. Like those are some of my dudes. but I thought that was done well. Well, before we get to the finish, let's talk about a big thing here. Let's talk about Edge, Adam Copeland. He is back as a surprise entrant. There was a lot of this debate as to whether or not he was coming back, and he kind of tried to dispel that, but here he is. Looks like, as you would say, $1 million. I've been watching that return pop all morning. It's something that I think is going to be with a lot of people. And I think for a lot of people that grew up with Edge, as a rated R superstar, and seeing him make a triumphant return at this point, and people that, have been watching wrestling or maybe, have been on the outs of it or something, this is a great moment for them. The whole time I was like, please be careful with Edge. He just came back, but OC did a magic killer on him. He was doing spears left and right. He was getting into the thick of it. And you and I talked offline about this, so I want to get your take on it.
Oh, man, it was great to see Edge back. And, man, when they hit his music and he came out, man, he blew the roof off the place. That was the loudest pop of the night.
Right.
Yeah, just an explosion. People were excited to see Edge back. And you could really see emotion on his face. He was thrilled to be back, and he was thrilled to blow the roof off that place when you have been gone for so long, and then you come back, and then people aren't expecting you, and they blow you away with that. It's immediate appreciation, and it's a real confidence booster. So now let's just talk about going in and getting into the ring and getting in the thick of things. So all right, he's decided to get back in this. Okay, what's going to come with that? What's going to be the adjustments in his style? What's going to do differently? He's not going to be able to absorb, a lot of the bumps that he took back in the day. And he's not going to be doing any, I wouldn't imagine any TLC matches or ladder matches, some of those things where, with the Dudley brothers and him and Christian and the Hardys, Jeff and Matt, just they wrote their name all over the history books with those outstanding matches they had where they defied all the odds and with extreme precision and calculation, just daredevil their way to these thrilling matches. So he's not going to be put in that role again. I'm hoping so. See what his style will be and see how he'll hold up in the ring. How much are they going to ask of him? What do they want from him? How far is he willing to go? Where is this going? How long is it going to last? So, when a guy comes back from the reason he had to retire, when he did, I hope that he can hold up to the grind and the task at hand, and that's being a pro wrestler and all the bumps and everything that comes with it. So, stylistically, I'm wondering to see how he's going to operate, and I wish him nothing but the absolute best, and I hope the best for him because I know he loves the business. He's been a fan of the business forever, and people love him. So I hope everything goes well for his return.
I think it's great to see him back in the mix with guys that he's never even had interactions with before, like the Shield, the members of the Shield, and your Kevin Owens and stuff. Like those are going to be exciting new programs, and I think if that's what he wants, if he's going to do, it might not be as extensive as we think people are hoping, but we'll see. And I think the idea is maybe him and Orton at WrestleMania. I read that could obviously change. I want to ask you a question with regards to this because I feel like the discussion's probably going to start coming up about it with regards to Edge. He's right in the mix, and I would assume that people are going to think, "Is like, well, Steve, if Edge is back, maybe Steve can come back." And you've already said on this program, you hypothetically could do a match, but if it's not going to be, you're not going to do it if it isn't up to your standards.
So basically you're asking me, based on Edge's return, would I consider making a return?
Yes.
No. Whatever Edge is doing has nothing to do with me. I'm done. I've already said I'm done, and I wish I'd do all the luck in the world.
Gotcha.
When I see a guy, who's kind of had a similar type neck situation as I had, or just neck surgery in general, and to leave the business when he did 9 years ago and then come back, I'm like, okay, man, be careful out there, just because I haven't seen you in action. And we know it's a very physical business. You can get hurt at any time, any way. It can be very dangerous. So just please be careful. So it was very exciting to see him come back, and I wish him all the best. And I hope that neck holds up for him. it will be interesting to see stylistically, what he'll change. Seemed like he was, leading with the shoulder a little bit more on the spears, and, kind of protecting himself. And that being said, he was taking some good bumps as well. So I'm wondering if, they flew him down to the Performance Center down there in Orlando or had a ring over there in North Carolina.
I'm assuming the latter.
I just wondered, what he was doing to get ready to make that return to the ring, because he had his timing was good. He looked great. He wasn't afraid to bump, so he has no fear. So I just wondered, moving forward, how much you're going to use him, what his plans are. They should be with high-profile guys. There's so many fresh talents that are great talents that can work great for him to work with and do things with. So wherever they put him on the card, but bottom line is, from my experience with Next and stuff like that, hey man, make sure everything's good. Don't do anything you don't need to. You're over your edge, and at the veteran stage that he is, you know how to work smarter. You're going to work hard to begin with, but you want to work smarter, not harder. And I hope that he does that, and hopefully he's around for as long as he signed his contract for, and does so without any more injury to his neck.
So let's take this home. Drew McIntyre, winner of the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble, eliminating Roman Reigns at the very end here. I understand why you would want to maybe give Roman Reigns another win. He is a superstar, and he is tried and true. That being said, I am always looking for something different. And Drew, he's kind of like the Kofi situation from last year, guy who's been with the company, not through the whole time, but a lot of people associate him with the company. He has never really had a shot at a title shot. He's worked his way up, took the time away from the company to build up his reputation and basically change his style, change his look. And now he's back, and we're going to see what happens between him and Brock. Or I'm assuming he's going to pick Brock. He may pick the Fiend, maybe. I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet. But I think he'll probably pick Brock. I don't know whether or not they actually put the title on him is another thing, but the decision to move forward with him in this spot, I think, is a good decision. You were asking me earlier, I was like, what is it that he has that makes me like him? Well, he's just got that look. He's just got that aura about him. He's got a good story behind him as far as, working his way back to the company. And I think he's got good moves. He hits hard. It's kind of like a Cesaro situation where I want to see somebody new take on Brock. And I think, this is a guy that I would believe that could take Brock out. He could beat Brock.
Well, it seemed like everybody knew he was going to win, if he could win. He did win, and again, that was one of the loudest, explosions of the night from the crowd, because people wanted to see him win. And it was a good moment for the kid, and we'll see where it goes from here. But, to your point that you made a little bit back about, hey, man, the Fiend doesn't really need a title. To me, then if the Fiend doesn't need the title, then he picks the Fiend and takes the title at WrestleMania.
I mean, you could do that. I don't know if I would be as interested in a title in a program between the Fiend and Drew.
Okay, but I'm just saying you're talking about who he could pick. The other guy he could pick would be Brock Lesnar, and maybe that's why they had such an intense stare down. So you can't. Well, you can, but I don't think you go to Mania and you have Brock beat him. Mm-hmm. So he needs to beat Brock.
I think that's what you have to do. Hopefully that's where it's headed. You never know. I mean, what was it? Was it 30? Was it 35 last year? Not this last year, but the year before with Brock and Roman. I was convinced that Roman was going to win that match, and he didn't. And eventually, they tried to make up for it as a WrestleMania moment. I thought that was going to be his moment, and they didn't do it. So it's possible that they don't follow through with it, but I think he's got a great story behind him, and he's trying to show more personality. Like that's something that's I've been hearing talked about a lot. Like Jerry Lawler just had Drew on his podcast this past week, and Drew was talking about that. It's like, I got this opportunity now to kind of do some flourishes before my moves and just show people who I am. And if he keeps on that track and, if he gets some good promos and, some confrontations with Brock leading up to that, I'm looking forward to that.
I thought it was a good night at the office. I thought, we nitpick some of the matches, but overall, I thought pretty much everybody had a good night. Like I said, I enjoyed a couple of matches more than other people did. I enjoyed both Rumbles, and people said, hey, there were opportunities missed, this, that, or whatever. Yeah, there's always going to be something from each subjective standpoint of an individual. But, it was what it was. It was written the way it was written. One Royal Rumble was full of bodies. One Royal Rumble was not full of bodies. It was one individual tossing everybody out. But that guy, led to, received a Claymore from a guy they were trying to get over. So they were setting all the pieces in place for, to elevate Drew McIntyre to this place. And so they had two different Rumbles, two different stories, different standouts in each one and different things. And I was highly entertained by both matches. And I was looking through a lens of, dude, just watch it for what it is. Don't think it's a shoot and enjoy it. And I thought a lot of the women got a chance to show their personality. A lot of the guys come out there, well, they got eliminated, most of them by Brock. But, then when you settle down to it and you got to the final four and even that final six, all the stories that have been told and, the matchups or just the visual of Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, and Keith Lee was interesting. And then Brock dumped both guys out. But all in all, I thought it was a good night at the office at a pay-per-view that I very much enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree. And there was, again, a lot of buzzworthy moments that felt organic. And just, it was, again, the Rumble is always just a blast because it's so unpredictable. But, yeah, this was good stuff. So I just want to mention this real quick. This episode of the podcast is going to be my last episode working on this podcast. I am moving on to another place I'm very excited about, and I just want to take a moment to thank some people and give some people some shout outs. First of all, I want to thank the listeners that support this show. You have some fantastic listeners that are just so dedicated to you and dedicated to making this show what it is and have been with you for such a long time, because you've been doing this for like 7 years.
6 or 7, something like that.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
It's a long time to do a podcast. 6 years is a long time to do a podcast. It's been an honor to work with you and just an honor to work with these folks. And I've had the pleasure of bringing some cool people to this show. Shout out to our friend Gregory Irons, and shout out to our friend Andy Williams of Every Time I Die. Shout out to my boy John Carlo, who helped bring Joey Janela and PCO to the mix. I also want to give a shout out to the historyofprowrestling.com, where I do my Steve Austin history that I was doing on the classics. Shout out to those guys, OVP Podcast on Twitter, and Richard Land, who contributes to that site, Masked Wrestlers on Twitter. Follow those guys for some awesome stuff that they curate. Those are some of my favorite accounts online. And I want to tell people, listen to podcasts. These shows that we do, the stuff that Steve has been doing for years and the stuff that we do at PodcastOne, the impression we're supposed to give is nothing can go wrong up here. Nothing can go right. But we bust our asses to bring this stuff to you. And really the medium is something that needs to, I think, be a bigger deal as a whole. And the fact that we have people like Steve Austin, Chael Sonnen, and Shaq, superstars, cultural icons, just people that, they're doing these shows. It's a big deal. And I really hope people are supporting these shows. I've been doing this thing, podcasting, for a long time. The advances have been great, as far as the changes and the medium and stuff. And I just want to continue to see it grow. And tell your friends about the show. We always say this at the end of every show. Tell your friends about the podcast, but we really mean it. Tell your friends. Tell all your friends. Tell your parents. Tell your mom. Tell your grocer. I don't care who you tell. I just want to make sure that that's well known. So, but yeah, thank you to PodcastOne. Thank you to my wife Jen for putting up with me, and thank you most of all to Steve Stone Cold Austin for putting up with me for as long as you have for these past couple of years, and allowing me to bring these awesome shows to everybody. I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Man, I'm sad to see you walk away. I'm glad you're going. Hopefully, you're going to a good place, and obviously, we'll stay in touch.
Yes.
And on the backside of that, there's been many times in the past where, man, I've dropped a show to Shawn at like late notice. And he never bitched and complained or said anything, just put the show together and got it out to you. So there's been times when I've had mechanical failures and had to do whatever I had to do to put in a podcast. And so you are always real professional. And I appreciate, finally, we've been working together for a little over 3 years, give or take 3 years. Took us a while to get our chemistry together, and then all of a sudden you're going to go down your road and I'll go down mine. But I wish you all the best, and we'll stay in touch, talk wrestling again.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you to everybody for listening, and I'm giving Steve the go-home cue. So
give me the go-home cue. I'm going to come back and wrap this show up and close her down. Good luck. Hey, man, do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast right off at sunset. Before I do that, I want to thank my producer, Shawn Marek, for all the years of a good time and working hard on the podcast. Shawn, I wish you all the best, and as you head down the road to your next endeavor, appreciate it, man. It's been a good time. Enjoyed talking with you today and getting, an opinion of the Royal Rumble from a fan's perspective. Appreciate you. Catch you down the road. Hey, don't forget to rate and review the Steve Austin Show on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends to check us out. If you want to reach me here on the podcast, send an email to questions@steveaustinshow.com. Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company is on the East Coast in Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey. Over in Oregon, we are out now and all over California. Check the El Segundo Brewing.com, their website, to find the interactive map to get your hands on the best IPA in America. Check out Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California. Don't forget King of Attitude and Broken Skull Ranch t-shirts available at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially Geico, ZipRecruiter, and BetOnline. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. And if you need more info, check out the show description to this episode for details. Can't wait to get back to Nevada to get on my Kawasaki and ride. Till next time, folks, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.